Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. This is the Blizzard Watch podcast. I'm your host, Matt. With me this week are my fantastic co-hosts, Liz and Joe, and we're going to talk about a lot of Blizzard things because some stuff is happening. One of those things is that Diablo 4's Season 3 has started. It started today, I believe, because I started playing it today. I don't know if it was out yesterday or not, but I was pretty sure it was today.
It did start today, yes.
Good. There's a lot to talk about, a lot of systems, a lot of interesting stuff that's going on. And I want to talk first about something easy to talk about because it's small. It's a small thing. One of the quality of life changes they made is that they've changed the way you can respec your character. You don't have to basically refund everything point by point and then rebuy everything and spend gold the whole time as you're buying them. Even as you haven't finished the spec yet, and you're like, oh no, I can't do it this way. Now I have to go and undo what I just did, and that's going to cost me gold again. That's all no longer necessary. The respecking system now allows you to preview it. You can refund all your points in the preview, spend them, doesn't cost you any gold, look at the spec, say, okay, this is what I want, and then hit a button and the spec happens, which is a massive improvement. I know you've been playing Diablo 4, Liz. I don't think Joe has at the moment.
Nope.
But you do know that the old respec system.
Oh, yes.
So first Liz, then Joe. Liz, what are your thoughts on it? What would you like to see them add to it, if anything? Go ahead. Just give us your opinion.
It seems like this is such an obvious system to add. The Diablo 4 respec system, as it was not so much a respec system as you can refund each of your talent points individually and assign them into new talent points. And all of it costs gold. Imagine if you were doing this in World of Warcraft and refunding each talent point you had costs a certain amount of gold. That amount of gold goes up every level. This is even worse than the talent system that rolled out with World of Warcraft in 2004, which you could refund it for an increasing gold cost, but at least you just refunded it and started over. Here, it's in Diablo 4, it's like
It was moderately better than the very first World of Warcraft one, which wouldn't even let you do that.
Well, yes, but moderately better.
Once they added in any kind of system, it was still better than this system. So yeah, it's good that they changed. Absolutely. Go ahead.
So it's just it's kind of a nutty system that they had in the first place, because you would let's say I wanted to switch my ultimate ability in Diablo 4. So I would have to go and unclick my ultimate ability. And then you unselect that, you pay a fee, you select another one, now you've done that. Since that ultimate works best with this setup, now I have to go back to all the original talents and refund them. I'm picking my capstone I forget what they're called for the last tier of talents. Anyway, so you want to switch. Okay, I'm using Blood Surge right now, but eventually I want to do a Bone Spirit build, which means I'm probably not going to need Blood Surge because I'm just going to be throwing my Bone Spirit at everything. But Blood Surge is in the second tier of talents. So if I go and remove Blood Surge, I have currently in Diablo 4, I'm level 10 and I have 5 points in Blood Surge already. If I want to go get rid of those points in Blood Surge, I gotta move those points somewhere else so that I have enough points to get to the higher tiers of talents. So I have to go, you have to go to your later tiers and unspend a bunch of points, and then you can go back and spend those points to replace the points that I spent on Blood Surge, and then you take the points out of Blood Surge, and then you put them back where you want them. It's this weird, unintuitive, cyclical thing where you're moving points around, and I'm just I just wanted to not have Blood Surge and move those points somewhere else. Yeah. But because each tier of talents has its own, you have to have so many points spent before that to get to the next ones. You wind up in this complicated removing talents, adding talents, removing talents, and if you make a single mistake, you gotta undo that. Previously, that's how it worked.
While you were talking about it, I brought up my thing and showed people the respec mode. And one of the things that's great about respec mode is instead of doing all that stuff that Liz was just telling you, you literally just tell it, wipe everything. And then you can set up the new build, and then you can tell it to apply it.
Yeah.
It's so much simpler.
in the previous system, you could tell it to wipe everything, but of course that would have a specific cost.
Yeah, you do it now for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can look at it, and they'll tell you, okay, your final cost for all this is going to be blah. And then you can say, oh, nope, don't want to do that. Or you can go, yep, go do it. It's just so much easier to use.
And the Diablo, I don't know if they're doing this for Paragon. Do you know if they're doing it for Paragon as well? I've only seen them talk about skill points.
I was told that it works for Paragon tiles as well, but this character is level 10. So,
yeah, exactly. It'll be a while before I can test that personally. Yeah. But the system was even worse once you got to Paragon because there were a zillion Paragon points.
Well, yeah,
there are so many.
Plus your Paragon tiles, and you can orient your Paragon tiles. So did you rotate it this way or did you rotate it that way? And there's a lot to the Paragon.
Paragon boards are kind of a twisty maze that you're going through to get specific glyph slots and different things. So, man, respecking Paragon is painful. Painful.
So if you can this works for that, then it's great.
Yes, absolutely. I will be very happy. I hope it does.
Joe, anything you want to add?
Nope.
Okay. The next thing we can talk about with Diablo 4, then the Season 3, is your little glowing robot friend, as I like to call it, or the Seneschal Companion. That's the what they're calling on the video the power chase. It's similar to a borrowed power system, really, because you're only going to have it for the season.
Every season has its new power, its new borrowed power system. That's kind of the nature. It's new mechanic,
yeah. And this one is interesting partially because it starts off relatively easy to understand. Like, compared to Vampiric Blood, this thing is a joy. Like, and Vampiric Blood was a pretty big improvement on the Season of Malignant's Malignant Heart system, which was like, first you got to get a heart, then you got to take the heart somewhere, and then you got to use it to summon monsters that you then have to kill to rip a better heart out of one of them. Then you got to put the heart in a ring. It's like, what is happening? This is a lot to work.
Except I have to say the Malignant Heart system sounded complicated, but when you got right down to it, it's like, oh, monsters will randomly drop a heart, and then I click on the heart to summon another monster, and then I kill that monster. It really fits very well into the Diablo 4 cycle of I see a thing and I kill it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a thing I can click. I click it. Oh, there's another thing I can kill.
Though.
It's hard to explain, but it was like you find a thing, kill a thing. You go get a shiny ring.
I don't know. I find the Seneschal Companion to be a lot easier, in my opinion. Not just to explain, but actually.
Really?
Well, just because all you do is kill stuff. They drop the gemstone fragments. You make those into gems. You go kill other things. They give you the various stones you need to improve it. And meanwhile, you just slap one power in and a couple of things to modify it, and boom, you're golden. You're off to the races. I really like. That's why I skipped the seasonal. I skipped the normal campaign to just jump straight into the season because I wanted to get my robot right away. And he proved handy almost immediately because some of the fights they were throwing me in as a fresh level 8 were like, I'm going to die. And then my little robot companion was like, not while I'm throwing lightning at everything. And I was like, all right, little robot guy. All right. I like you.
I mean, one of the things I think is interesting about our new robot friend is there's a depth to the system. So I kind of feel like it isn't simple at all. Maybe it's one of those classic Blizzard, easy to learn, difficult to master systems.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because, so your Seneschal Companion basically is another talent tree. You can give him different abilities and modify those abilities in different ways. And so you kind of want to make him to where he complements your spec. He complements how you want to play. There are governing stones, which give the Seneschal different abilities, different skills. And there are 12 governing stones, and you can have 2 equipped at any one time. So your Seneschal has 2 skills. You pick the skills based on the governing stones you found. Then there are tuning stones. You can apply 3 tuning stones to each governing stone you have equipped to change their effects. Like maybe they target more things. Or, okay, that's actually the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But so you pick your skills, and then you pick how your skills are modified.
Just to give you an idea, I've got the 2 of them equipped on this character, so I'll read what they do. There's Mockery Support, which is a rare tuning stone that makes the damage done by the supporting skill taunts enemies hit for 2.2 seconds. This can only occur once every 15 seconds per enemy, does not work on bosses. And then there's electrocution support, which is 80% of the supposed skill's damage dealt is applied as lightning damage over 5 seconds and has a 6% chance to stun enemies for 2 seconds. Those are the two I currently have equipped because that's the only ones I've found so far.
But it's like...
Yeah, but so that's the kind of thing they do. They can increase an attack's damage. They can increase its threat. It depends on what do you want the attack to do. That's what the tuning stones are for.
Yeah, so... There's a lot of depth here. You have such a broad variety of skills and a broad variety of different modifiers for those skills. So what I find so interesting about this is the way it's flexible, and whatever class you are, whatever playstyle you have, there's something you can find here that's going to fit with how you want to play, and you can modify it to fit how you want to play. So I really like it. I haven't gotten very far in the season yet, but I like this new mechanic.
Yeah, what I like about it is how it unfolds a bit. The vampiric powers did too, but I always felt like I don't know what to do here, guys.
The vampiric powers in season 2 were very front-loaded. You jumped in and you immediately had, okay, there are like 100 different vampiric powers. Weren't actually 100, but it felt like it. There are all these vampiric powers, and you've got to level them all up, and you got to pick 5 of them, and you have to have the right sockets on your gear to use them. And if you change the vampiric power you have equipped, you might have to change the things you have on your armor. And there's this item that lets you change things or add things to your armor so that you can use it. Like, there's a lot of complexity. And
it's right away. It's as soon as you
It's right away. It was all, like, you log in and all of this is in front of you. And, yeah, with the Seneschal, it's sort of rolled out a little more slowly. You get your Seneschal, you get a Governing Stone, you find some Tuning Stones. You know, it's not just, everything all at once.
Yeah, it's not John Maddening. That's a classic. But yeah, okay. I've been talking a lot. Is there anything particularly you want to talk about, Liz? Anything about Diablo 4's season that you've immediately noticed and wanted people to know about?
Now you put me on the spot. Well, one of the things is, of course, the story of the season. Do we want to talk a little about that? About our friend Zoltan Cool?
Yeah, it's unfortunate Joe hasn't been playing yet, just because he won't have gotten to see any of this yet. You want me to start outlaying it, and then you can jump in? Liz?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. The whole thing starts off with, like, you're in, I think, Gedbardu. What is it? It's not Gedbardu, because that's where I am now, but it's not there. It's down in
Golkia.
Thank you.
Yes, I do want to jump in. Say I don't think we're giving you any big story spoilers here, because this is kind of the stuff that was laid out in the campfire chat that they gave us the other day in the trailer for the season.
Plus, it's like immediate upon starting. You get there. There's some villagers who went out to find this rift because an old man told them to. And, you know, as soon as an old man tells you to do something in Diablo 4, immediately go do it. Don't think about it for even a second, because it's going to work out great. It's going to work out great. It's certainly not going to end up with you ripping your own arm off to run away into the desert because you're possessed by a demon. That's not going to happen, except it totally does. So your character... This
is Sanctuary, and if something bad can happen to you, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah. As somebody pointed out to me today, self-preservation in Diablo 4 would be like, why would I need... The demons will just eat me. They don't need to preserve me. They're not going to keep me as jerky, I don't think. So it's similar to that. Anyway, you run into the desert, you find the rift that they were talking about, you head on down there, it's crawling with robots that want to kill you. I mean, it's new that they're robots. It's not new that things want to kill you. It's Diablo 4. Everything wants to kill you all the time. You fight your way through, and after a boss fight with a possessed person, he unpossesses, which is neat. I didn't know I could just hit people until they stopped having demons in them. Previously, I've had to go through some really elaborate rituals, but no, this time I guess got to punch this guy.
You're just going to knock the demon out of their head. That totally works.
He's like, hey, my name's Ayujad. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He says it, and I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm Ayujad. Me and my friend were building this magical thing called the Loom. I'm going to go find him. He'll help us get this thing all straightened out. You run to find his friend. It turns out his friend was Zoltan Cool. And Zoltan apparently took the advantage of a nap that this guy took. to blow the whole place up and run away. And there's even leaves a note going, well, since we couldn't agree, I've destroyed the loom and buried it underneath tons of rubble and wiped all the runes. It will take you your entire lifetime to fix it. Please give this up and come join the Haradrim with me, your buddy Zoltan. And because Zoltan cool, he is nothing if not willing to just make the decision for everybody. This guy isn't very mad. He's like, I can't believe he did this. And then he looks in a mirror and goes, wait a minute, why am I so old? And it turns out that the whole reason that the demon possessed him was to use him over the course of the lifetime it would take to repair the loom. So he's been down here fixing this loom thing forever. Like, when he sees what you are, like, I don't know what he says to necromancers, but he sees that I'm a barbarian. He's like, you're one of the children of Bolkathos. I've always wanted to go up and see the world stone for myself. I hear that it's, lovely. And you're like, yeah, about that. Yeah. So that's a quick and dirty. But then from there, you're sent off to go to other vaults of this loom system to find out what the demon is doing and what's going on in the world. Like, what is this whole deal about? And you get a little companion robot buddy with you. But basically what this comes down to is two mage dudes who relatively young when they did it, built this ridiculously powerful arcane forge, for lack of a better word, that makes robots. And the robots can do whatever you tell them to do, basically. They're elemental powered robot thingies. But unfortunately, there's a demon possessing everything. So now you kind of have to figure out how to wreck it up. And the robot is there to help you. And this guy, Ayushed, is there to basically serve as your kind of quest guy. And what's really fascinating is they've put a waypoint and a hub right there inside the loom. So you don't even have to, you could theoretically just go there directly. That could be your center for everything you do, could be this place. You don't even have to hang out in the city. I think you probably want to, because I don't think they have any crafting stuff. Maybe they will later. I don't know about that. But that's all I've seen so far. That's the story up to now. In terms of the story, I like it. I think it's a less pressure up front one. I'm sure this is all world ending when you get to a certain point, but it doesn't lead up with it like the vampire one does, which is, just a perfectly good intro. I like the intro quest for season 2 quite a bit. But season 3's intro is a little funnier. It's gross humor. It's kind of like the old Peter Jackson movies where he would what the heck? The one where the priest says, I kick bleep for the Lord. Joe, do you remember the movie?
I don't.
Okay.
Either way.
Regardless, it has a kind of gory but still funny sensibility. Like when the people who are possessed run off into the desert and one of them leaves his arm behind. And you're like, okay, I that arm is still moving. If I were you guys, I would burn that arm. But it's kind of that. It's the Ayushen, I think his name's Ayushen. Oh god, I can't remember how they pronounce it. It's gonna drive me nuts. But he's kind of funny. He's angry about what Zoltan did, but he's also kind of funny about it. And what's really funny is that Zoltan is voiced again by Steve Bloom, who voiced him in Diablo 3.
And also voices a pretty major character in Diablo 4.
Yeah, he also voices, I'm just going to tell people, he voices Mephisto in Diablo 4. And it's weird because he's doing the Zoltan voice again, but he's actually sounds sincere in the note. So instead of his wildly over-the-top maniacal I'm Starscream in Diablo voice, he's using it to do I hope you join the Haradrim with me, my friend, and if not, live well. Your friend Zoltan. And I'm like, your friend Zoltan. It feels like an advice column from Zoltan Cool. It's a bad idea to make. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Your friend Zoltan. I hope you abandon this. Your friends. It's just do. The more you know, the more you do it, Zoltan's.
Well, Zoltan Cool is everybody's buddy. He's been our best friend for a while.
He never lies. He never lies to you. If Zoltan Cool, you interact with Zoltan Cool, he will never lie to you. He will do evil things, but he will never lie about it.
That's fair.
The interesting thing is Mephisto was the same way. He twists things to serve him, but he does not lie to you at any point.
Oh, that's the other guy. I don't. That's not my gig. I don't lie. I don't have to lie to you. I can get you to do what I want based on the things you hate. But regardless, it's an interesting story. I feel like it's better than the Season of the Malignant storyline.
The Season of the Malignant storyline was not much of a storyline. It was very disappointing.
I feel like this one's better, but I'm not going to say it's better than the Vampire one yet, because the Vampire one was pretty fleshed out. and pretty interesting. Whereas this one, I have only gotten to see a little tiny bit of it, so I'm not going to go around trying to say it's better than that one.
Of course, there are also, you mentioned this, there are vaults here that are kind of powerful robot-making places. I'm not sure if they're parts of the loom, but there are vaults you can explore. These are...
Yeah, he says that when you're going to the first one, he says that they're essentially like tied into the loom, like subsidiary type things. Basically, like the one he first sends you to, which is the only one I've heard about so far. I know there's more. The one he sends you to first is the Vault of Copper, and that's the one where they were originally essentially making all the constructs. And so he's sending you there because if this demon has got control of it, he can make himself a construct army, which would probably not be great. I mean, all things considered. The worst thing about demons is they already have vast numbers. Imagine if they also had vast numbers of robots to throw at you first. Not great. So let's go find out about that. So yeah, I think they are intended to be part of the loom, kind of like to service it, for lack of a better word. It draws robots from one, it draws raw materials from another. But I again only talked about the one so far.
But these are kind of your new dungeons, and they seem very trap-oriented, which I'm not super keen on, being that dodging is my worst enemy, and it looks like there's a lot of dodging coming my way in these. So I'm not sure how good I'll be at vaults, but it's an interesting idea that's a little different than other dungeons, because you're trying to avoid traps and things of that nature. It kind of feels like Torghast.
It kind of does feel a little bit like it's inspired by games like the Torghast thing, or games like Dead Cells or Hades. I mean, not quite, but there certainly is some inspiration in there. I feel a real strong Dead Cells inspiration from this. When Joe gets to play it, I'd love to hear what he thinks, because he's way more into Dead Cells than even I am. I certainly think Dead Cells is very good, but I think, Joe, you've played it like a lot, right?
Yeah, I think I'm at like 400 hours, something like that.
So yeah, Dead Cells is definitely. I think it's the best possible comparison. Yeah, but I definitely think they're going somewhere different. But I also think that they have definitely been inspired by that. What I do find interesting about the traps so far is that there are ways to get around them, but you have to like learn their rhythm and timing. The first time I was doing one, I was getting absolutely charbroiled, and I had to actually alter my spec, which is where my first respec came in. To get Iron Skin so I could get a self-heal. Because Barbarians are not loaded with self-heals. But with Iron Skin, I could get a damage shield and a self-heal. That meant I could get through them and not die immediately. But yeah, there's one point where I was moving through a room and my wife was watching me play, because I'm like, okay, I can't... my computer is completely borked and I have to get it to work again. But in the meantime, I can still play this on my TV. So I was playing it on my console. And my wife's like, that room's a little busy. Because as you walk in, there's literally like these things are shooting flames up into the air, and there's these spots on the ground. There are these flaming things, and it's like, yeah, this is definitely like, kind of like a really bad episode of House Hunters right now. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, they are get aroundable. I will say, as somebody who also hates traps on the ground. But I'm so far I'm enjoying the season. I got to level 10 in like an hour. Like it took no time. I was like, I'm. The only reason I haven't gotten further was literally I had to stop and work once my computer was working again. So.
I mean, they sped up leveling a lot in season 2, and they've kept it the same. They haven't added any new speed boosts that I'm aware of, but leveling is pretty fast, particularly in these low levels. You can zoom. Yeah.
Well, and plus, I mean, the Hellfire, the Helltides are still going. Like they've basically replaced the vampire events from season 2 with just permanent Helltides. You can practically find the Helltide constantly, can't you?
Yes, you can. So yeah, last season you had the blood harvests that were just non-stop. You could always go and do a blood harvest. They rotated where they were, but you could always go do a blood harvest and murder a lot of vampires and get a lot of loot. Blood harvest was really a crazy loot pinata where you just hit vampires and like legendaries fell out. It was pretty great. And so now they've changed Helltides to where Helltides are going to be similar. They're going to rotate through zones, but there's only 5 minutes of downtime between Helltides. So you'll have a Helltide in this zone, then you got a 5-minute break, and then there's a Helltide in another zone. So you could just constantly go Helltide to Helltide if you wanted to. I think it's a pretty good change because it gives you something to always do.
Mhm.
And you never have to be like log on and think, hey, I want to do some Helltides, and then it's like, oh wait, the next Helltide's in an hour. I guess I'll log off, and then you forget that you were going to do a Helltide.
If that's the style you want, if it's the style you want, it's always available, and it makes sense because it's like if you like leveling in dungeons, those are always there. Why shouldn't the Helltide always be available somewhere?
Yeah.
So
though Helltides aren't the same level of loot pinata as Blood Harvest, and they aren't. I don't think Helltides are available immediately. I think you've got to unlock World Tier 3, and that's when you're going to find your first Helltides, or World Tier 2. No, 3.
It's got to be 3 because I'm in 2 right now. I'm not getting them. But
So,
I think that's around level 40, I think.
I mean, technically, I think the capstone dungeon is 50, but I've certainly done it much earlier.
That makes sense. Yeah. But, so that's actually very cool. I can't think of anything else right off the top of my head. I know there is more. Go ahead. There's more uniques. They added a wait ton of those.
There's more. There's all sorts of new content. There's some class balance changes. But what I was actually wanting to mention, which you didn't mention in your email, and then I forgot to mention it in my email, because we're such great professional podcast planners.
It's been a week.
The Gauntlet.
Yeah. Oh, right, the Gauntlet. Yeah, that is in fact
the
a huge
Gauntlet
thing.
Is Diablo 4's leaderboard system, and it's coming in a few weeks. I don't believe they've given us a specific date on it, but they've said it'll come a few weeks into the season, just so we don't all have to rush to level 100 today so we can compete in the Gauntlet tomorrow. I mean, it feels a lot like challenge rifts from Diablo 3 to me. What do you think, Matt?
I think it does have a certain aspect of challenge rifts to it. Although challenge rifts, didn't they used to make you pick go with the cast that they had?
You had a specific kind of character and a specific build and a specific thing, and then you would go through the challenge rift to see how well you could do and beat the time. Yeah,
this isn't doing that part, but it is doing the part where you have to go through and beat the time to get yourself on the leaderboard.
And in a specific dungeon. It's the same dungeon for everyone every week, and everyone's competing to see who can get the best score in this dungeon. And there are, of course, leaderboards for every class. There were leaderboards for every party size. And so you're all fighting for a place on the leaderboards.
Yeah, it's not too dissimilar for anybody who's played Diablos 2 through 4, you know the basic ideas of how it works, even if it isn't quite the same. It's still basically the idea of, you're competing to get the best time, to get the fastest clear, so that you can get on the leaderboard, and then somebody is trying to beat your time so they can get on it. It's not complicated. It's what makes it different this time is, again, they've got different ones for different size groups. So you can be like soloing, or you could have a group of 3 friends that you do it with, or anything in between. I think that it goes up to 4, right? I thought it was 4, but I'm not sure. I don't think they have a raid one.
I mean, I think that's your maximum party size.
Yeah. I mean, you can do raids, but those are basically outside world boss things where just everybody shows up.
They're not.
It's not the
that's
same.
That's not like a party.
Yeah. So it's based on party size again, that like we said. But I think what's cool about it is that you could theoretically do it all by yourself. You could do all of this stuff. You could get on the single player leaderboards and just pursue that. If you wanted to do it that way. Or if you and a friend always play together, you can do 2-player or what have you. However you normally play the game is you can approach the Gauntlet in that way, which I think is pretty cool. I'm interested in seeing how they actually play out, because there are certain dungeons that I think really don't favor certain classes. Any low movement class, and I mean, it seems weird to say low movement because we have all these various tricks, but some classes are way better at it than others. Some classes are going to skate through some of these dungeons, and some classes are going to be oh my god, I have literally everything punching me in the face. So I'm waiting to see which ones become the, ooh, I want to do that one, versus which ones become the, oh man, I can't believe it's that. Because that happens every time I've seen any game that has anything even remotely like this, whether it's Mythic Plus dungeons or what have you. There's always the ones that are people are super excited because they think that they can get through them really fast. And the ones where people are oh my God, I can't believe we got to do Oculus. So we'll see what we end up with in that regard. But is that it for Diablo 4?
I think so. I'm sure we're forgetting some things. Well, let me stop and ask, What class are you playing this season, Matt?
I can't even bring myself to try and sarcastically lie. It's barbarian. Of course it's barbarian. What would it be?
Always barbarian.
I just thought I'd see. I just had to ask. We have to check in, see what's going on. I mean, this sounds like if you're going to play a character this season, it's Barbarian's kind of top of the list right now, because one of the big changes in the patch notes was Charge is getting like 1,000 times more damage. Maybe I'm exaggerating.
Charge got a buff. It didn't get 1,000% buff, but it did get a buff.
It's like a buff that added several zeros to the end of its previous damage number.
But its previous damage number was like 2. So there's a reason it got a buff. But yeah, no, absolutely Charge did get looked at. I'm not using Charge right now, but I am considering switching to it. Because I just, one of the things is, yes, Charge's damage is better, but Leap is better if you want to control where you go.
Mm-hmm.
Charges, I point my character in a random direction and go, but if I need to leap out of something quickly, I prefer Leap, because then I can hit the button while putting my mouse somewhere, and boom, I'm over there now. And so there's a lot of utility to it. But Charge, yeah, absolutely, Charge has got some buffs. I think in general, they made Barbarians do a bit more damage and made them a bit tankier overall, while still nerfing some stuff. But I mean, some classes didn't get anything like a buff. So I understand some people being upset. I think Druids are kind of having it rough at them.
The overpower nerfs, I think, hurt Druids.
Yeah, because most Druid builds are always about overpower.
But they have gotten buffs and other things. So it's just, I think it's going to change the meta for Druids. You're going to see different kinds of Druids builds working this season. I am, of course, playing a Necromancer again. And
see, join the dark side with us. They do the same class over and over again group. You know you want to.
I know. I hear all these people like, which class am I going to play this season? I need to do something different. And I think, which class am I going to play this season? I'm going to play the old familiar Necromancer, and maybe I'll play a different kind of Necromancer this season.
Maybe I'll get exotic, and this time I'll go with an army of a total, all the zombies all the time.
Listen, my decision on what class I play in Diablo was decided June 27th, 2001.
I can't say I'm arguing with you.
I mean, mine wasn't decided that far back because I'm an Amazon at heart, but
they don't have Amazon currently. So, yeah.
Exactly, I can't play an Amazon, so I'm a Necromancer at heart now.
However, when we eventually go to the Scovos Isles and we get to unlock maybe some Amazon or Amazon adjacent thing, Liz will be back.
Yes, it's very likely. It's very likely. I want to stab things with spears. That was just very satisfying. Stab things.
Every class gets an Amazon specialization. So you've got the Necro Amazon. They stab you with a spear made out of the bones of the people they've killed.
And it was just so satisfying being Amazon. You had your javelins, and you stab people with javelins. But wait, that person is really far away. I'm just going to throw my javelin at them, and it's going to leave a cloud of poison behind it that fills up my entire screen and kills everyone who walks into it. It was great. It was very satisfying. You can stab things or you can throw things. Both of those are satisfying things to do. But now I can only be a Necromancer with a dozen skeleton friends to keep me company, but they're not really great conversationalists, so...
Yeah, in their defense, although... I saw somebody say something absolutely terrifying today talking about that. He goes, secretly, how the dead can find, skeletons can find things to kill, even though they don't have any sort of sensory apparatus. It's because the skeletons of the things they're trying to kill are communicating with them skelepathically. I don't know who I stole that joke from. I apologize, person who I stole it from. But regardless, yeah. The idea that your skeleton is like a traitor that just wants to get out of the flesh trap that you are and is desperately trying to get other skeletons to kill you. Man, I can see necromancers totally, using that to their own advantage. Like maybe like a spell where they just pull someone's skeleton out of them.
I mean, there are a lot of skeleton things, but mostly it's like hitting things with bones or...
Yeah, you know what, they'll call it, like going the surgical extraction route and having a skeleton just get ripped out of something would be really rad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
think it'd be an interesting new way. Like it's like, shuck your mortal foulness, and the thing goes, and the skeleton walks out of the dead person's body. The ruins.
Listen, at the end of the day, we're all recruits for the skeleton war. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, you make a good point. This got creepy fast. So yeah, anyway, Diablo 4 season 3 so far. At least for me, a thumbs up. I'm having fun.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, Joe hasn't gotten to play it yet, so once he does, he'll let you guys know what he thinks.
I've got so many games on the horizon. It's
Oh, yeah,
going to be a while before I come back.
That's the problem. There are so many games.
Like I'm going to be honest. Like the next time I touch Diablo 4 is probably going to be when the expansion comes out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I might just bug you until you do. But in the meantime, we have other stuff to talk about. Example number 1. Season of Discovery for WoW Classic is next week, I want to say. It's not. It's 2 weeks from now. It's February 8th, and we're about a week till the end of January. So then there'll be 8 days, and then you'll have that. But that's coming. That's the one with the level 25 to 40 content. Gnomeregan is the raid. New, I want to call them runes. What do you call the things that change powers around?
They're runes.
Okay, the new runes that are coming in will be coming in. I finally started my Season of Discovery character. I only got him to level 4, and then I haven't been back because just so many other things to play, as Joe pointed out earlier. But I am trying really hard to get in this because I'm really excited for Gnomeregan as a raid. I want to see Gnomeregan as a raid. It's such a big dungeon. It always felt like it should be a raid, quite frankly.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Liz, were you gonna say something? I'm sorry.
I've tried to play Season of Discovery, and it's nothing against Season of Discovery, but there's so much I need to do. There's so many games. I want to play Diablo. It's such a list. It's a long list of things.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make room for Season of Discovery, even though it sounds really amazing. And yeah, Gnomeregan, except now I'm level 10 in Season of Discovery, and I'm way behind and have to catch up if I want to do Gnomeregan, and also I want to play Diablo, and also Joe and I have been trying to kill Fyrak, which means we're currently kind of trying to kill Smolderon, because after killing him once, we have not successfully killed him again.
That is not correct. We have killed him twice.
Oh, twice! Okay, so it's the third time is not the charm here. Man.
Smolderon to me looks like one of those fights that feels like it would be, you think you get it down and it'll just click and you'll do it easily, but it doesn't.
There's a whole rant brewing that we don't have enough time for me to go on about Smolderon and the disappointment box. So trust me, next week.
Smolderon is you're in an orange room and there are orange things there are orange circles that you have to spread, and then there's an orange circle you have to stand in, and then there are orange circles.
I'm about to start experimenting with colorblind modes to see if I can get something with more contrast, right?
Yeah, orange room, orange circles that are bad, orange circles that are good, orange beams that are bad, orange rings that you have to jump in and out of.
At the right time.
All on an orange floor. Yeah, at the right time. And it's I don't know why Blizzard does this. They create things that are all the same color, all layered on top of each other, and so many of them are happening at once that it's so visually busy. It's hard to keep on top of it. And for people with any kind of visual difficulties, I imagine this is really hard. It's really hard for me, and I can mostly see pretty okay. It's crazy making.
Yeah, I one of the biggest problems I had is my eyesight worsened was certain fights in WoW just like Darumu, where there's no color variation. It's it's just purple everything.
What was the fight in Battle for Azeroth when we were going after N'Zoth? It was the anger of N'Zoth, the one that was he was in the side of the mountain. Oh,
the big Gucci thing that you had to basically crack open the carapace to get to kill him.
Yeah, so that I couldn't do without getting a migraine because of the visual effects. So
all I'm going to say is thank God they didn't put the orange room on a train, or because I'd just be done. I would not be able to even look at it.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's coming on the 8th. So if you're into WoW Classic, you can totally jump in there and see that. Don't have to, can't make you. You do what you want to do. The worst part. We didn't mention Wazid. We didn't mention that you can move with WASD in Diablo 4 now. Because I think that's a big deal. We should have mentioned that. I'm sorry.
That is a big deal.
I apologize, guys. You don't have to mouse click everywhere. You can use WASD to move your character if that's what you want to do. I don't want to do that, but if you do, you totally can, and I think that's great. I think more ways to do this kind of stuff is better, always.
I have a question for both of y'all. How do you pronounce WASD?
Well, I pronounce it WASD because I'm weird. I don't
know. What about you, Joe?
I only say WASD.
Oh, see, I'd go WASD too.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
It looks enough like a word that I just go, WASD. It's S is not usually a letter you have in front of another letter like that in that way. But it's there. If it was WARD, I'd say ward. So why not say WASD? It's just how my brain works. But we didn't mention this because we haven't really talked much about it. Season 3 of Warcraft Rumble just started. And now you get to fight Emperor Thaurissan? He's in there now?
You get to be Emperor Thaurissan. You can recruit him as a leader. And unsurprisingly, he has a lot of ways to set other people on fire. That's kind of, fire is kind of that's a thing going on.
Yeah, I would imagine, consider this dude used to work with Ragnaros. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Does he also have Iron Foe? Do you know if he has Iron Foe?
I just pulled up his abilities. No, it does not look like it. He
never had it when I killed him either.
He has so he's a Blackrock leader. Shouldn't be surprising. He's the third Blackrock leader in the game, and it kind of makes sense that they've added him because all of the other minion classes have 3 leaders and Blackrock only had 2. So now you've got Thaurissan, and his abilities are Lava Spike, which is throwing lava around, essentially summoning these magma pillars on enemies that burn them, and Fiery Weapon, which makes allies apply burn when dealing damage. And it's all about burning. I have not had a chance to go in, recruit him, and play with Thaurissan, but yes, it's interesting. Blackrock has been my favorite kind of category of minions because they feel very powerful to me. Maybe that's just me, but so yes, season 3 is here. You can go and get Thaurissan and play that. There's some new PvP changes that change it up. Previously, you would do PvP and it was like one map for an entire season, which felt like it would get a little stale. But now you have the maps are random now, so you can show up and play on whatever it is. And there are different enchants, they call them, that modify how the map is played. So you might have one that makes towers deal more damage, or you might have one where leaders level up every time they've played. So you get some interesting, more random effects. I think it sounds more interesting, more engaging. It'll be different every time instead of when you go in every time and you're on the same map and you're fighting someone new, but it's like, I've done this 20 times already. Come on. So I think they're good changes, but overall I'm a little tired of Warcraft Rumble because it's you play and then you keep playing and you keep playing and also you keep playing and you're just trying to level up all of your minis to infinity. It takes so long to get anywhere. I don't know. I think it's really fun, but I'm a little burned out on it. Are either of y'all playing Rumble?
I am not because I do not currently have a phone that can run it.
I am not because I got too caught up in the whole, look, I can print the minis from the game instead. So I can just play Rumble in real life.
See, now at some point someone's going to do this. Someone's going to print up a whole bunch of them and actually just start doing that. So
people have been using them for a game called One Page Rules. They've been using them as their footmen and stuff like that in that game and Frostgrave locally at my shop.
That's the thing. The minis look so cool. So it has such a great aesthetic with how the minis are designed, how the art is, and they really beg to be 3D printed. And Blizzard has even released some of the 3D printed files for some of them. And
A lot of them.
It's really cool. Yeah.
And they even send you an email, or at least they send me an email. Maybe they've noticed I've downloaded a whole bunch of them. But I get an email every time they put new ones up. So,
all right. I do want to quickly move on to some other stuff before we possibly get to some emails. Right now, the Grim Campfire from the Twitch drops, that's finally actually in the game. It went in today. It's available. You can get yourself your Grim Campfire, watch some World of Warcraft content on Twitch, and you got yourself the Grim Campfire, which I feel like is the undead version of Basic Campfire. And as we all know, Basic Campfire is the true war chief of the Horde. So this would, I guess, be the true Lich King. Regardless, Grim Campfire in game now. If you want to have a campfire with skulls in it, I don't mean, why wouldn't you? Skulls make everything better. Just look at Orgrimmar. Put skulls up, things festive now. So yeah, that's happening. The Amazon Prime. Well, go ahead.
We were just talking about necromancy, so I mean, more skulls is clearly better.
I mean, I'm never gonna forget the thing they said on the Diablo 5 stream back last month, where they were like,
Diablo
4. Diablo 4.
Are you living in the future? I just need to check.
No, I am not. I'm living in this hellscape that we live in. But Diablo 4, they basically pointed out that, for their winter festival, they had just festooned, the town with skulls. Because that's what you do. You just cover everything. It's like bedazzling things with skulls, just like in Diablo 2, where we bedazzled ourselves with skulls. Skulls work for gems. It's a thing. So yeah, I'm totally up for that. We have some Amazon Prime stuff. The Swift Windsteed is still available. That's one that's been available this whole time for World of Warcraft. It's available until January 30th. However, Amazon has also got the really cool Rosewood Moria skin for Overwatch 2 until February 15th. Have you guys seen this thing?
Yep.
No.
It's really nice. It's
I have
really
redeemed it. It will be the skin that I use the next time I play Moira.
It's got this cool like black rose thing going on. It's really neat. Hearthstone's doing their usual, hey, get a good card. That's until February 14th. Nothing.
There's almost always one of those for Hearthstone for something or other.
And so that's basically it, though. There's nothing for Diablo right now.
There actually is something for Diablo, but it's a support a streamer thing.
Oh, okay. The support a streamer thing. So
where you have to donate subs to a streamer. So it's there, but it's not just an easy watch things on Twitch. That lets you earn the orichalcum mount. Yeah, orichalcum. I have no.
Some people pronounce it orichalcium, but it's orichalcum.
So I may or may not have pronounced that right. I hope you enjoyed hearing me attempt to pronounce an unfamiliar word. But that is available today through February 26th. You must gift or buy 2 Twitch subscriptions of any tier to any streamer in the Diablo 4 category, earning you the Orichalcum Speckled Mare mount. And it's a horse with kind of some white markings on it. I do not personally think this is the most exciting or special mount in the game. I don't know. What do y'all think? Are y'all gonna go out there and support a streamer to get this?
No. I'm angry because you said it has white spots and it should have kind of reddish gold spots because orichalcum is a reddish gold color. So now I'm angry.
One of the things I dislike about the mounts in Diablo 4, a lot of them, they look like they are badly abused creatures.
Yeah.
Like they have things carved into them. This looks like it has like something tattooed on it. Yeah, so there are just a lot of mounts in Diablo 4 that I'm like, I cannot use this mount. This looks like a very horribly abused horse.
I have my horse. It has bone armor. I'm good. I'm done. Like I'm good with Diablo 4 mounts at this point.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I have a horse, and it's a horse. It looks like a well-cared-for horse. It's a healthy, happy horse, and it's going to be like the only healthy, happy horse in this game, and it's mine.
And look at your horse. Your horse is amazing.
Don't lick it. Don't give it a lick. Do not do it. Don't
but it tastes like raisins.
It doesn't. It doesn't taste like raisins, Joe. Raisins are a lie.
there is a Diablo 4 thing. It's just, it's kind of been weirdly under-publicized because they've done a big streaming thing, a Twitch drop or something, every time they've rolled out a new season. But this time, it's just this support a streamer thing. And they really haven't talked about it a lot. But it's there. It's there if you want this horse.
But I think at this point, we're going to try and move on and do a couple of emails.
We didn't even talk about patch 10.2.5, right?
No,
we
did cover it last week, really?
Yeah, we talked about it last week. Do we need to talk? Is there anything exciting and new that you want to talk about?
Plus, we've got maybe 10 minutes to the end of the show.
I mean, I am looking forward to talking about reclaiming Gilneas at some point. That's going to be a lore thing, though.
Yeah,
that's going to be Matt and I. That's going to be Matt and I going off. So, all right.
So, if you've got a question for the show, you can go to our Discord. We've got 2 Discord channels on our Discord server. First is for everybody. It's just Q and Podcast Questions channel. And you can go there and just ask your questions, whether or not you're supporting us on Patreon. However, if you'd like to support us on Patreon, which we would like, I just want you to imagine me with huge eyes like Puss in Boots from the DreamWorks movies, or just any dog ever, looking up at you going, "You have a piece of food," like that. I'm doing that right now, and it's amazingly cute. And you are, right now you're breaking. You're going to come join us on Patreon because of how great that looks. If you do that, you can then go to use our patron Q and Podcast Questions channel. We do look there first because after I've puppy dog eyed you, we should give you something back for your support. And one of those things we give you is the ability to ask us questions, and we get them first. However, if you don't want to use Discord for a variety of reasons, you don't have to. We also have an email you can use. It's podcast@blizzardwatch.com with subject line podcast or Blizzard Watch. You can do that as well. We get questions. You can get questions for pretty much any show we do, and you can put Lore Watch ones in for Joe, and then I will later on try to get him to eat a ham sandwich of questionable provenance. And when he wakes up, I will have taken the questions, and he'll be very upset. And later on, of course, he'll have his revenge. Usually, it involves dunking me in a vat of something. We'll play it by ear. But regardless, this week I'm gonna just try to read them myself. And then you guys can respond to them. This first one is from Octomomos, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but you didn't give me anything.
Octomos.
Octomos?
Octomos, okay. Friend of the podcast.
This one says it's a question for me, but I didn't know what they were talking about. Question from Matthew Rossi: is the magical Leopleurodon extinct or just hiding in Candy Mountain? I had to go look this up. I'd never heard of it. Apparently, it's got something to do with a unicorn.
Yes.
Online. I watched it to figure out what you were talking about. I don't know if Liz or Joe are more familiar with it than I am.
No, I only know about the memes on the internet. That's about as far as my knowledge of Candy Mountain goes.
So regardless, all I can say is you made me immediately think of a version of the Jonathan Colton song Skull Crusher Mountain that I watched years ago. There was somebody who used to do machinimas of all of his songs at the time. Keep in mind, this was like 2008. He did all his songs as locales in WoW. And Skull Crusher Mountain in that genre was Black Rock Mountain. And he did the whole video there. Very good. But now I've just imagined a remix of it with a Leopleurodon on top of the mountain singing that song. And that's just what you've given me. The gift you've given me is sitting around going, trying to sing Skull Crusher Mountain in the voice of the Leopleurodon from the clip I saw when I went to figure out what you were talking about. So it's just like, and no one else will like this, but for me, it's one of the most pleasant experiences I've ever had in my life. Just imagining what would a Leopleurodon attempting to sing Skull Crusher Mountain sound like, and when will we get Leopleurodons in World of Warcraft? Unrelated, but I want them. So yeah, that happened. Either of you have anything to say, or are we moving on?
Nope.
Liz?
No.
Okay. The next one is comics. Which superhero team is your favorite, and which version of them is the best? I cut this from somebody else's question that was like a long one full of stuff, and I forgot to put their name in, so I will apologize to you now. Okay. Superhero team is your favorite. Which one version is the best? Joe?
Midnight Suns. Midnight Suns is my favorite superhero team or comic team of all time. I love the classic comic heroes dealing with the more esoteric things that go bump in the night type of stuff. And as far as the incarnation that I liked the most, it was the one from the early 2000s, roughly around the time of Marvel Zombies-ish. I think it was like between 4 and 3 or something like that, where you had Blade, you had Magic, you had Wolverine, you had Ghost Rider, you had Doctor Strange, and you had Moon Knight. And I think Werewolf by Night was also helping at that time. But it was just such a really cool comic, and it was such a throwback to the old horror comics that existed that were really, really popular before the Comics Code became a thing. And it was just killer artwork, really cool stories. Anytime you get to have those characters get re-explored, and like Blade this is during the time where in 1992 when Midnight Suns first happened, Blade got reimagined and stopped being like a 70s disco dweller and got more modern with the times. But it was just fun. I like it because I don't think comics deal with sort of, I don't want to say the horror elements as much anymore because Immortal Hulk and others do that, but it's just my favorite team, hands down.
Okay, Liz?
Man, I'm an X-Men girl. Like, those were the first comics I started reading, and that's just, deep in my little lizard brain, way back in my head. When you talk about comics, that's where my head goes first. I read a lot of comics since, but it always goes back to the X-Men. Of course, the problem with X-Men is that when you ask, what's your favorite comic superhero team? There have been like a million different X-Men teams. Mm-hmm. There have been so many. And they are constantly changing. It's X-Men this and X-Men that. I really like that kind of, I kind of think of it as X-Men 2.0 when you first had Storm and Wolverine jumping in. Mm-hmm. I like that era where you had Colossus and Shadowcat jumping in. I really have a soft spot for kind of the 90s X-Men cartoon, which had its own little unique team.
And introduces an original character that kind of got ported back into the comics.
Morph.
Wait, which one?
Morph was originally created for the cartoon. Did not exist in comics before that.
You want to know a real quick, cute X-Men trivia question that you might like?
Go.
Name the other character created for an X-Men comic who got ported into the comics. I mean, X-Men cartoon that got ported into the comics.
I do not know.
X-23/Nick/ Wolverine's teenage clone, Laura Kinney.
X-23 is so cool.
Yes, Laura Kinney is the creation of, I think it's either Wolverine and the X-Men or X-Men Evolution. It's probably, yeah. And she was created solely to bedevil Wolverine in one issue. And they saw this, and unfortunately, Joe Quesada got his hands on her first, but after he did, other people came in and did good things with her. So yeah, that's just something that I always know. My favorite Wolverine is X-23. So,
I also like some of the later X-Men team-ups where Emma Frost is in the X-Men, because that creates such a like this weird twisted upside down dynamic, and it's like,
if you are a fan of X-Men, and this is an aside, highly recommend reading the Fall of X stuff.
Yeah, it's actually been very good.
It is supremely good. Working in a comic shop, I wind up I read more comics now than I ever did before because they're literally 2 feet to my left. It's phenomenal.
Kind of the interesting thing about pulling some of the villains into the good side is you get this unusual sense where it's like, okay, we don't all get along, we don't all agree with each other, but in the end we're all mutants, and we're kind of trying to bring about this new generation. I mean, that's kind of where the X-Men sort of come together, where we're sort of teaching the kind of a new generation of mutants here and teaching them how to live and survive in a world that hates them for the most part.
Yeah.
So many X-Men teams, so many fun, different teams that are all fun in their own ways.
Marauders is still my favorite X-Men. I'm just going to throw that out there. Because I love Kitty Pryde. She is just, I love her to death. She is so amazing. Matt, what's yours?
Okay. I'm hesitating trying to come up with saying something cool to sound edgy, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna be completely 100% honest.
It's Wildcats, isn't it? It's 100% Wildcats.
No, I wish. That was actually one of the ones I was thinking about for my cool edgy thing, because then I would get to go on about Alan Moore for a while. No, it's Justice League. It's the Justice League of America. And the reason is quite simple. I wasn't allowed to have comics until I was like 10 years old. My father forbade me to read them or anything that wasn't biblical. My grandmother finally just put her foot down and said, "Nope, I'm giving him comics. You can go up a tree." And she did it very nicely. My grandmother was the kind of person who was never mean and never raised her voice, but the woman was made of steel. Like, she would stand in front of a charging rhino and be like, "Dear, do you really want to charge?" And the rhino would be like, "No, I guess not. I guess I'll just sit here." So it was like that. And one of the comics she got me a whole bunch of stuff. Like, she got me the various Marvel collections that were out at the time, the trade paperback ones that they had. But one of the comics that she got me that was just a comic that was coming out around that time was Justice League of America 200. And the other one was Avengers 200, which was also in that pile. Avengers 200 is one of the worst comic books ever written. And someday I'll tell you about that. But Justice League 200 is not, there's nothing clever about it. It's not trying to be clever. What it is everybody who to that point had been in a Justice League team lineup all show up. The Martian Manhunter, who hadn't been in the comic in like a decade, shows up. Firestorm's there. Aquaman's there. And the core conceit of the book is that the original 7 Justice Leaguers got mind controlled by aliens to try and rebuild them so that they could again fight a war on Earth to determine who becomes king of an ancient empire in space. And the other Justice Leaguers have to try and stop them without hurting them, because they are their friends and they don't want to do anything bad to them. But the Justice Leaguers who originally did this, their memories have been reset back to when they first joined the team. They don't know who half of these people are or why they're trying to stop them. So weird team ups like Hawkman versus Superman is an actual fight in this book. And Hawkman does pretty well considering he's fighting Superman. But eventually, the aliens get recreated, and then everybody's like, "Oh no, the mind control's worn off." So they all team up, and it's a big stupid fight. And it's fun, and weird stuff is happening, and everybody gets to do something cool. And it made me want to read more of these books. It made me want to see these characters. And part of the draw to it, which is you don't get in some other teams. I love superhero teams for a lot of different reasons. One of those reasons is that oftentimes they get to focus on characters who would never get their own book.
Exactly, right?
And that's great, and I love that about a lot of them. This book is not that. This book is literally before the Avengers ever said, Earth's mightiest heroes come together to stop. The JLA was doing that for like 5 years before Avengers ever happened, and the Justice Society was doing that in the 40s. So DC had a tradition of it. This is all the big names. And you're like a 10-year-old kid who's never gotten to read this before. You know who Batman is. You know who Superman and Wonder Woman are. I kind of knew who Green Lantern was. And that was basically it. So all these people were new to me. And here they all are. I mean, I didn't even know who Aquaman was yet. And quite frankly, Aquaman is one of my favorite characters. Don't give me the fish thing. So yeah, it was just like getting to see that lineup of everybody who'd been in the team up until 1980 something. I forget what year this thing came out, but it was a big collection, and it features every location that had ever been important to the Justice League, which was where I found out that the Justice League's original headquarters was in Rhode Island. I'm from Rhode Island. The hill that they used looks like the hill from near my house. It's on the beach, just like the hill. It's like the Justice League lived in my backyard. I mean, obviously they didn't. I went and looked. But yeah, Justice League of America / Justice League. I like that they just call it Justice League now because I don't want it to be just of America. I want it to be the world. But yeah, and yeah, just for the fact that to this day, I can pick up a comic with the Justice League in it, and I'll see something like this recent Godzilla versus Kong versus the Justice League comic, where Godzilla decides he's going to attack Atlantis. So Arthur summons what is essentially Cthulhu. Aquaman just summons Cthulhu and says, "Go fight that thing." And Godzilla loses. The Kraken beats Godzilla and pushes him out of Atlantis. It's great. It's ridiculous. It's exactly what I love in comics.
I was going to say, Justice League versus Godzilla is pretty good right now, too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the team. That's the one for me. I don't know how much time we have left. We're already like 10 minutes in, so I'm pretty sure we're going to just be done.
I think unless we have something we really want to do, I think we are.
No, I wouldn't have minded to do the favorite games of 2023, but that would take forever. Yeah. Either you got anything else to say before we move on to the wrap up where Joe does this thing?
Nope.
Liz?
No.
Okay, Joe, you're up.
Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/BlizzardWatch. Your continued support means that this podcast site and community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to the podcast, better chance at having your question answered on our podcast for the queue, and an ads-free site experience.
Thank you very much, Joe. This has been the Blizzard Watch podcast. If you have a question for the show, you can send it to our email at podcast@blizzardwatch.com, subject line podcast at Blizzard Watch, so we know it's for the show. Or you can go to our Discord. We have 2 Discord channels, one for non-patrons, the Q and Podcast Questions channel, and one for patrons, the Patron Q and Podcast Questions channel. We welcome you in both. If you want to be a patron, that'd be great. We love you, but we love you if you don't. We understand that not everybody can be a patron. This has been the Blizzard Watch podcast. I didn't talk once about Tyrannosaurus macraensis, and quite frankly, I wanted to. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.